So I don't know if this mic is working. It's kind of broken, but I haven't made a video in a long time, so I decided to make one. So yeah, I was busy changing my life and moving to Malaga, and I'm following my plan to learn how to drive and to get a driving license so I can buy and convert a van to make my tiny home on wheels. Yeah, so I have to become a driver and a carpenter in the next few months. It never occurred to me to do the driving school before, because I love using bicycles as a mode of transportation, but that changed mostly because of the prices of real estate, especially in cities or near cities where you can still get to with public transport. And yeah, I didn't even know about van life and that you can have your tiny house on wheels, and I adore tiny houses and tiny spaces. And also I felt I would be isolated and feel stuck if I buy a rural house, or if I make my tiny house outside of the city. So I knew I had to learn how to drive. And here I am. Yeah, so I do tend to move from city to city every couple of years, and it was very hard to leave Valencia, because I love Valencia like everybody, with all the meetups and the Turia Park, like the big river the river that used to be a river, now it's a park. And Valencia got too popular, so the prices quadrupled. A lot of people from richer countries moved there. Yeah, so it was kind of a peaceful invasion. The locals had to move out of the cities because they couldn't afford them anymore. And the foreigners, I mean, people also working class, but they have higher salaries because they come from more expensive countries. They moved in because after the pandemic, everybody started working remotely. I realized that's possible. So yeah, it happened in almost everywhere. I don't know where it didn't happen, that the locals are being peacefully expelled from their own cities. So yeah, government should protect the locals and should make laws that make it much more expensive for the foreigners to buy and rent than for the locals. Although I'm also a foreigner, but I believe that's a fair thing to do. Yeah, anyway, I felt I had to leave Valencia, but it was kind of a comfort zone, and so I bought a Groupon for a driving school in Malaga. So force me to move to Malaga. I did want to move to Malaga and experience it before. So I bought it for €100, and it involved 15 driving classes. I had to pay €320 more, and a psychotechnical medical check. And yeah, I was preparing for a theory part of the exam in Valencia, in the park, on a hammock with the application of the school called Fácil Auto. I did a lot, like 200 of like exercise exams after going through all the videos. And yeah, I did a lot of exams, and it's a different thing really to prepare from the book or from video lessons, to know the stuff and to be able to answer the questions, because the questions are very tricky. There are many trick questions, and you really have to have good Spanish. And some people told me that I was brave for doing all this in Spanish, but I've been speaking Spanish for 20 years, so I wasn't really brave. I think English would be more confusing. Some things would be lost in translation. Anyways, I didn't find a room in Malaga, and I was looking, but it really seems to be harder than in Valencia to find a room, and a bit more expensive. So what I did is I booked a month of a hostel, November, in a hostel in Malaga. It's the cheap hostel, it's like €270 for a shared room, and that's the room. Can show it now, but there are 3 beds, and they're not bunk beds, so it's pretty lucky. But the hostel is kind of immigrant hostel from poorer countries. Like, most people are from South America, and they don't have work permits, or so they have more trouble finding a room and a work. And there are some also Africans. And there's me from Croatia. I'm like, I don't even, maybe the only one with the EU passport. There are some locals, even some Malagueños. And so the school gave me the date for the exam. It was 12th of November. And I passed with 0 mistakes. And I was really fast. I thought I was one of the first one to finish. I didn't even have to think about questions. Then I thought that I would that I would find a room in Malaga to start driving lessons, but I got no replies. I just got one, and that was a rejection. And I applied for some 12 ads, not too many, but many. And since it got a bit rainy and a bit coldish at night here in Malaga in November, I thought, oh man, maybe I should just go to Las Palmas and continue when I come back in spring. And I wrote to an ad in Las Palmas, and I got a reply immediately. And they took me, although I'm 10 years older than the age limit for the room. And now I have a room in Las Palmas. They needed someone for 4 months, so I'll be staying there for 4 months, which is not a problem at all because it's one of my favorite cities and the climate is just perfect. And the best thing is I can continue driving classes there. And also, I thought I would be like doing all the driving classes after I come back from Las Palmas, but they managed to schedule all the 15 prepaid classes from Groupon in 2 weeks. So I'm driving like 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 hours a day, every day. Today I have 3 classes until 10 p.m. And I'm really loving it for now, and I can't believe it. I'm so glad I tried this. I really didn't think I'd be able to drive a car. I mean, I know everybody is, but the instructor did say that I'm nervous, but he said that I'm doing well. He said "se te da bien," so that I'm kind of that I got it quickly. So I still can't see how I'm going to pass the exam because I can't drive and look at the rear view mirrors at the same time and how do you call it? Intermittentens. Oh, I don't even know English vocabulary for this. Like the signals I have to give when I'm turning left or right. It seems like incredible multitasking to do all that at the same time. So I'm really happy in Malaga. Malaga is lovely. It's really nice. What is better than Valencia is that it has a beach or beaches in the center, very close, basically in the center, and it has hills in the center, and it has mountains all around it. So that's one thing that's better than Valencia. It's a bit warmer, some 2 degrees maybe warmer than Valencia. What else is better? There's a really nice like paseo or a kind of a park in the center. I do miss Turia Park where I can really put your hammock and hang out. Although you still hear cars there a bit, it's better. And the most important thing why Valencia is still my favorite city is the meetups. So here there's just... It can't nearly be compared to Valencia's meetup. First, there's a much smaller choice. And second, they're all paid. It seems that there was only one group that's organizing all the meetups, and they charge €3, and you have to pay drinks on top of that. So it's like €6 minimum. And it's not a picnic in the park. It's not philosophy discussion, like practical philosophy meetup in Valencia. It's not journaling. There's no journal. There's no writing meetup. There is crocheting, and that's like my favorite meetup here. But yeah, social life is lacking here because of meetup. So if I do come back here, which I don't have to because I'll be finished with the school here. It's just 1 more week of classes after today. If I come back here, I will have to organize the social life here. I mean, the free version of it, and the journaling and all the meetups that I'm missing. In the meantime, I discovered interesting meetups organized by a former monk from Czech Republic that are completely free and there's no donation or anything. even though he has to pay meetup to organize them. A girl who organizes crocheting says it's 20 euros a month to organize a meetup. So I suggested to her to share the cost so I can organize the meetups I'm missing. But yeah, since now I'm leaving, it's going to have to wait. So yeah, all those people who charge for meetups are doing it for profit because they're making much more than 20 euros a month to cover the costs. I attended this spiritual hike to one of the hills inside Malaga, and it was great. Great views of the city and people from everywhere, just like in Valencia. He gave us advice on how to meditate, and he knows what he's talking about because he lived for 8 years in a monastery in Thailand. After the hike, he took us to 100 Montaditos, which is like the cheapest restaurant chain in Spain, probably, with hundreds of different mini sandwiches. So it wasn't some fancy, expensive expat place. He also organizes meditation on the beach. I think I will join all his meetups. So yeah, this hostel is a bit not comfortable to live in because, I'm sharing a room. I can't decide when I go to sleep. South Americans don't go to sleep early, like they're talking on the phone at midnight. But with my roommate now, there's only two of us. One was here who was snoring, but she luckily left, and it's just the two of us, so it's not bad. I actually had a very good night's sleep last night, which is good because I have to drive for 3 hours today. And yeah, it's there have been some fights here. There's some blood was shed, and my roommate said it's like 4 fights since she came. So there's something about accommodation being cheap and people being problematic. So I'm kind of having second thoughts about my cheaper co-living for people over 40 business plan, because I might attract problematic people. I don't know. There are wonderful people in this hostel too, but it just seems that there's more problems. At reception it says if you touch this closet, you'll be on the street. That's not something you have written on the normal co-living with normal higher price, not normal, but higher prices. Maybe they'll say you'll end up in a hotel or Airbnb, and it's like they make it clear that this is one step before homelessness, this place. One girl said it's a bit like a jail. And also the kitchen is just too small. It's not equipped well enough, so it's hard to cook. But it's also nice, yeah. Birthdays are being celebrated. People hang out. There's people dance sometimes even. It's not that bad. And also I see this as a kind of a stoic experiment of, facing difficulty. Seneca said, to set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest of fare. And yeah, so I say to myself that this is kind of just stoic experiment that I'm doing here. And it's also a good preparation for van life, because after this, having any private space, private bathroom or kitchen, however small, it's going to feel like a luxury. Also, yesterday I met through a Facebook van life group, I met a van lifer who's here at the beach in Malaga. And it seems really nice. It seems quiet for sleeping. It seems safe. And his neighbor was a Russian woman who doesn't even have a driving license. So people are moving her van when she wants to. Like friends are even taking her to different cities. But she wanted to live in Malaga and she couldn't afford it. So now she lives in right on the beach, the first line, and for free, basically. And she's actually preparing the theory part of the exam with the same app that I was preparing in the same school. She probably also bought it on Groupon. So this guy was an engineer, the British guy I met, the Russian woman's neighbor, and he built everything himself. He gave me a lot of tips and told me I can always ask him anything. It seems like a really nice community of good people who are trying to kind of escape from the system and, be free.